Scottie Scheffler made history over the weekend, becoming the first player to ever win the Players' Championship in back-to-back years. For much more, let's bring Bob Weeks into the conversation. Bob, Scottie Scheffler has been dominant, to say the least. Now, my question to you, my friend, is Scottie Scheffler the most dominant player we've seen since Tiger Woods?
That might be a bit of a stretch at this point. He's awfully good, but I'm not sure. I'm sure there's a few other guys in there that I would have to consider, namely Dustin Johnson, who won 7 times in 2017 and 18. I think Rory McIlroy had a good run in 2014, 15. Jordan Spieth has had a good run. There's been some good players. Nobody has sustained it the way Tiger Woods did. And Scottie Scheffler certainly, at this point, recency bias, but obviously he looks like a guy who could do it. He's figured out the putter. And you go back and look at all the, there's so many different numbers you can look at. He's had 1 over par round in his last 36 rounds, nothing over par this season. You can go deeper and deeper into these stats that just kind of blow your mind and say, wow, this guy is playing some great golf. 64 on Sunday. He had lots of guys chasing him, had lots of guys, especially those big 3 down the stretch, who could have caught him and forced a playoff. So if one of those guys sinks a putt on 17 or 18 and beats him in the playoff, maybe we're not having this conversation. But it is reminiscent of Tiger Woods in some ways, that he is able to come back and fight back. Like he wasn't in this really all that well on Friday. He had the neck injury, and he shoots 64 on Sunday to push himself forward. So I like that part of what you see from Scottie Scheffler. And of course, there's that putter. Once he's figured that out, now he's got the mallet putter. Rory's going to rue the day that he ever suggested that Scottie make a switch in putters. But it's pretty impressive what he's doing. I certainly got to say that.
It's definitely been very impressive. And in terms of dominant runs, I'll compare this to Brooks Koepka back in 2018 and 19 when he won 4 majors in an 8-major span. We haven't seen that, since Tiger Woods, but I'll give Brooks Koepka the credit there. Looking forward to seeing Scottie Scheffler at the Masters in a couple of weeks. Now, Bob, you mentioned the putter there. Scottie Scheffler was 36th in the field in strokes gained putting at the Players' Championship. This new mallet style of putter is ½ an inch longer, and Scheffler was saying with his previous model, the Blade, he was having issues with a heel miss. He would line it up on the toe, and he sort of hit it off the heel and miss putts left. Is there anything in particular you've seen from his putter specifically that's different going from the mallet to the Blade that he previously had?
Well, the biggest thing I've seen is that the ball's going in the hole. That's the easy one to look at. I would say, though, that really what you're looking at now is he's not lining up. He used to use the line to line up the ball. They have a line on the top of the golf ball, and he would aim it. He doesn't do that anymore. And I think that's allowed him, strangely as this may seem, it's actually allowed him to square up the putter more towards his target line. At least that's what he's telling us. So when you get that, it's a bit of a freedom, I think, where you can just stroke it and you're not worried about hitting the center of the club face on the line, because you're not going to hit the center of the club face on a putter every single time. You hope that it's obviously just a minuscule part to the toe or the heel, but with that kind of a putter, that's what it's designed to do, is to not twist as much. With his old putter, if you're hitting it on the heel, you're kind of in trouble. But it is remarkable how players, regard their putters. I remember when Gary Woodland was having a whole bunch of putter troubles, and he went and saw one of the putting coaches, and he says, I keep hitting it on the heel. I keep hitting it on the heel. I can't, it's driving me crazy. And the putter coach said, well, let's see a putt. And he looked at him, he says, well, first thing is actually you're hitting it on the toe. You don't know where you're hitting it. And I think Scottie Scheffler was at that point where he probably didn't know what was causing the problems. And now that you get a putter and you get a little help in along the way, you start seeing the ball go in the hole. And once they start going in the hole, you know what it's like, Adam. They seem to go in bunches. Yeah, definitely, for sure. And for Scottie Scheffler, too, I think the putter being a ½ inch longer definitely adjusts his eye line, how he's looking at the ball. And we know whenever that changes, confidence comes in a big way with the putter, and he's been making putts big time. Now, Scottie Scheffler only gained 0.6 shots on the greens during that Sunday 8-under 64 to come from behind to win. I'm going to put you on the spot, Weeksy. You've said many times, whether it's here or on Golf Talk Canada, that the best ball striking round you've ever seen with your own eyes was Stephen Ames, the Canadian, when he won the Players' Championship back in 2006. So my question to you, who had a better ball striking performance, Stephen Ames in 06 or Scottie Scheffler in 24? I'd still probably give it to Stephen Ames. You know, I don't think he missed a fairway or a green, or if he did, I don't remember them. And when he hit the ball in, it was so close and so tight and on perfect lines and pin high just about every time. Look, Scottie's was pretty remarkable. We walked around with him for a fair bit, and you see, you know, like he's holing out wedges, and his ability to put his approach shots in the right spot. He never really had too many downhill sliding putts like you saw with some of the other guys that were in those last three guys, and Harman and Schauffele and Wyndham Clark. You know, I think you always saw him in a place where he could be, if he couldn't be aggressive, he could certainly be confident that he wasn't going to roll it 6 feet by. And that's a huge difference. So there is definitely something to look at in terms of how good a ball striking round that was. It was pretty good. He's had a lot of really good ones over the years, and you know, now you look a couple of weeks ahead to think about what he's going to do at Augusta National, because that's probably a key part of playing well over there as well.
Especially since he won there a couple of years ago, too. Now, Bob, we all know the expression, beware of the injured golfer, and Scottie Scheffler definitely battled through that back issue and played very well on the weekend. And one thing about Scottie Scheffler in particular, he led the field in driving accuracy at the Players' Championship. Even when he wasn't swinging at 100%, he was hitting that sort of 80% fade off the tee, if you will. He was always in position when some of the chasers were either trying to remain at the top of the leaderboard or notice that Scottie Scheffler was where he was, i.e. Wyndham Clark, i.e. Xander Schauffele. They were missing fairways on that back nine. So that's the big difference, I would say, between Scottie Scheffler and guys like Xander Schauffele and Wyndham Clark. So my next question to you, Bob, here, Scottie Scheffler already has 2 wins so far in 2024. For the rest of the year, I'm going to set an over-under 2.5. Do you think Scheffler has more wins than that the rest of the year, or less?
I'm going to go over, and you know, cautionary though, we just don't know how many more tournaments he's going to play. I hope he has a busy season. I hope he plays another 10 or 15 or whatever it might be, but certainly it's going to depend on how frequently he plays. And I don't think he's, you know, if he goes into the rest of the signature events and the majors and a couple at the end in the playoffs, yeah, I mean, 3 is a really good number, I think, for him to rack up, and he may rack up more than that. Again, he doesn't have to putt great. He just has to putt satisfactory with the rest of his game.
I like that number, too, and I wouldn't be surprised to see him wear a green jacket, kind of like I am right now, in a couple of weeks at the Masters. Bob, thanks for this.